Hello and welcome to episode 375 of Scarves Around the Funnel, the podcast dedicated to Heart of Midlothian. Thank you to Laurie Dunsire, who joined us last week for an impromptu Friday night club. I'm going to try and persuade him to not be a stranger and to come back more often. Some good feedback from last week's show with Laurie returning. So thank you for all that. Before I introduce today's guests, with Aberdeen and the game at Pittodrie not until Sunday, and this is Monday night when we're recording, we thought we'd take a little bit of a different tact this week. We will preview the Aberdeen game, might touch on that later in the show today, but we will have a specific Aberdeen preview later in the week with Scott McIntosh. But I thought we'd take the opportunity during an international break to talk about Heart of Midlothian and the Matchday experience, what's good about it, what's not, how it can be improved. So thank you to everybody who got in touch with your suggestions about what we can maybe do to improve the Matchday experience. So today I'm joined by three special guests. I was going to start with a view from the younger generation, those that know how to fix all the screw-ups technologically that us old farts fuck up, basically. And already I've dropped an F-bomb and just realised that young Alfie Drake is only 14. I'm sorry, Alfie. How are you?
I'm all right. Recovering from that F-bomb there, Mark. So let's just watch it here.
Okay. Yeah, what a great start. Alfie will give us a viewpoint as to how the experience on a match day is for youngsters at Tynecastle, how they deal with adults who swear, and also what can be done to improve the atmosphere from the perspective of maybe teenagers that go to the games. And also with me today, Mark Jackson and Ross Wilson from the Heart of Midlothian Disabled Supporters Club. Mark, how are you?
I'm doing grand. A nice late night in Leith for me. So, I mean,
Well,
it could always be better, but
yeah, well, I'll not ask. Roscoe, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Thanks for asking. Thanks for inviting me along this evening. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, well, you and I go back many, many years to the old Pennycook
Many,
Hearts
many, many years, yes.
Supporters Club. By the way, delighted to say my mother has now joined the Pennycook Hearts Supporters Club. Gives her the opportunity now to go to games. She's got the season ticket. Sadly, Dad died earlier this year, but Mum still goes to games and now goes to matches on the Pennycook Hearts Supporters Club that leaves from Wilson Street. So there's so many supporters clubs that are out there, and I just wanted to kind of bring other Hearts fans, give them some knowledge about the Heart of Midlothian Disabled Supporters Club. So we'll do that today on the show. We'll get into your social media messages as to how the game day experience can be improved, and we will preview a little bit about the Aberdeen game later in the show. You're listening to Scarves Around the Funnel, sponsored by Forrest, Hepburn and McDonald Signs, who've been offering creative sign and print solutions since the 1950s. Okay, Alfie, I promise not to swear again. What's your association with Hearts? You're 14 years old. How long have you been going? And who do you go to the games with?
I've been going to games since I was a little boy, as the song goes. And I go with my mum, usually. And if she can't go, usually anybody that can take me. I mean, I can go by myself, but I like going with people because I can talk.
Do you feel that there's more of a younger crowd now in attendance at games, whether it's kids your age or maybe slightly older? Because I remember going to games and I don't know what the average age of Hearts fans was, but with the Gorgie Ultras and others, there seems to be a lot more of a younger element that's helping support Heart of Midlothian. Is that fair?
I totally agree. I've seen loads of people. When I first started coming, there was quite a lot of people that were, a bit older. And I've seen quite a lot of people, I mean, in the seats, even near me, change about and kind of my age. I used to have a boy that sit next to me. Don't know where he's gone, but I used to chat to him all the time and he was basically ages with me. And his pal basically sits there now. So they basically rotate that. So there's more of a share almost with their season ticket.
Ross, what would you say your membership of the Disabled Supporters Club kind of ranges from as far as ages are concerned?
We've got what nearly 200 members now, nearly 200 members.
Wow.
Yeah, all ages, young kids to elderly people. Yeah, right across the board, really.
And Mark,
Yeah,
sorry, we've got a bit of a time delay here. My apologies for that. When you go to games, Mark, I mean, I mentioned Pennycook Hearts with Ross earlier. We had a bus that went in. Do you have specific transport that can take your members there, or how does it work? Because 200 members is a decent amount. So how do you kind of liaise and logistics for a match day?
Yeah, we don't have specific supporters buses for home matches. We do sometimes do them for cup games if we are to be successful, which is looking great this season. Won't jinx anything, touch wood. But yeah, we put on supporters buses for cup games specifically, and then for liaising with our base is essentially looking at their individual circumstances and seeing if there's anything we can do to support with them, be it car park passes, be it specific things with public transport, or anything to do inside the stadium as well. That's kind of our remit, is just working towards what people feel that could help them rather than having a universal design.
Ross, you and I were speaking just before we started this podcast about the name of your supporters club, but also your future plans to maybe tweak that to be maybe more inclusive. Heart of Midlothian Disabled Supporters Club is what it is what it was. What could it be?
yeah, there's some work going on in the background about renaming it. It's been put to our members as a vote. So anybody out there that's not voted yet, get voting, please. We've asked members to look at a couple of new names because we really felt that it needed to come up to date. You know, make it accessible for all and everyone. You know, just there to help everybody. You know, make that day easier and better. You know, getting tickets, advice, access, and you know, any sort of support that we can give. We're here to help and just try and make life easier for Hearts fans that need that extra bit of help getting in and out to the games.
Having seen you at many away games, obviously, now over here, I get to maybe one European game every 2 years or so. You pretty much go everywhere you can. How do the facilities at Hearts compare when you go on the road, or maybe you get on the plane and go into Europe?
Yeah, that can be tricky. Tynecastle is really good. We've got the lifts there. There's always work that needs to be done in the background to make that things a bit easier. We're looking to get a sensory room started in the wheat fields. You know, the old changing rooms. We're looking at, if people need that wee bit extra time out. If it gets a wee bit overwhelming for people, they can take a step back from the game. So there's work for that, like going back in the background. We're also looking to make it a better view. If you know how you've got in the wheat field, the Roseburn and the Gorgie, you've got that sort of metal bar. It goes right
Yeah.
around the whole of the ground. They're looking to rejig that, redesign it to make it a better view for people on the wheelchair areas and the front row. Because there's a lot of our members that are in the front row because of access and stuff. So yeah, there's these tweaks there needing done at Tynecastle. Away, it can be a bit up and down. Some challenges with road surfaces, drop curbs, that sort of thing. The view is a bugbear of mine. Being stuck right down the very, very front is not great. In this day and age, you should be up there, better views, a bit better shelter, because sometimes they've got came back from games and been soaking wet, etc. So a lot of work needing to get done to get really up there where we want to be.
Who are the main people that can help you do that at Hearts? Because there's a disability access officer, Keith Ferguson, who does a great job. Him and his team do everything they can right now for you and your supporters club. But are there others that could maybe get involved that could help you and Mark and Keith and your members to make it an even more enjoyable experience at Tynecastle?
think this is one for Mark's mum. Would be probably she's the chairwoman of the club, so she's the mum of the group and likes to help out. You can contact her on the Facebook page, Mark. Is that right?
Yeah, we got our Facebook page there, but I mean, I can also just add on that with the work that my mum's done, is just we're basically looking to go across supporters groups at this point, with the federation, even including Foundation Hearts. There's been a real shift, especially when everyone's talking about the effect on the pitch with Tony Bloom, but I can sense there's a real desire across the board and looking to improve all sorts of things to do with the club now. And Foundation Hearts and Keith's been there for years as well, and just try to combine all those efforts because we do have a great group of supporters within our own club, but it's everywhere with Hearts. You know, it's an incredibly supported club, so it is just about trying to cross borders, as it were, and get involved with other aspects of the club that can really bridge that gap that we've got at the moment.
Alfie, how would you describe the experience as a 14-year-old Hearts fan on a match day at Tynecastle?
I think it's good. I think, especially now, since we're doing all right, knock wood, you see much more people turning up, and it's much more of a friendly atmosphere. But it can definitely turn, as we saw at the Dundee United game, when stuff exactly wasn't going exactly our way. It can go from a very friendly atmosphere to it's very loud in here. I don't like this. I mean, I'm okay with the loud noises, but there's a lot of people my age that were not very okay with that kind of atmosphere and would much rather be a much more friendly atmosphere. You probably know how football fans can be when there's a bit of temperament. I mean, you see a different side of people at the football. You see person you don't really expect. I mean, I've seen people, the most quiet people I know, screaming their lungs out for 90 plus minutes. Singing songs, shouting at referees, whatever. Yeah, that basically. I mean, I like it, but there's a lot of people that might not agree.
It's a difficult one because it's a sense of escapism for many of us. We've had a tough week or whatever, and when the team's doing well, it's great. We look forward to going to Tynecastle. If there's something you could change about the way that it is right now on a match day, Alfie, what would that be?
I mean, the Gorgie Ultras. I love the Gorgie Ultras. They do a good display. They do a lovely march. But I think it was bad moving them from, is it Section N? You know, when they're just across from the other fans. I think that place was the most. I think that's what made Tynecastle scary to play against. I mean, Tynecastle is known as a kind of fortress at the moment for us fans, but I think making them go to the other side of the stadium might have killed the atmosphere a bit because I feel like you get more songs started at the Wheatfield and the far corner than you do at the Gorgie Ultras, since there's not that many of them and they're not really in with the singing lot, if you know what I mean.
Hmm. How do we fix, I don't want to call it an atmosphere problem, because we've all been at Tynecastle when it's rowdy and it's raucous and it's the best place in the world. And I probably wouldn't want to play there as an away player. However, there are times, and Dundee United, some of that game was part of that, whereby the expectation level is, come on, impress me, score goals, and then they don't score, they don't perform for a spell, and things go quiet. We've had many people getting in touch. Chris Canning would love to see the lower section of the Gorgie stand become a safe standing area. I'm not sure if you guys know if it's been talked about before. Matty JK, I've been saying it for ages. Make the Gorgie stand the singing stand where the Gorgie Ultras and others who want to sing the whole match can be housed. An away stand at home, akin to the Dunbar end when we play at Easter Road. Our own manager wants us to harness Tynecastle's atmosphere for too long. Matthew Harold, you just can't force an atmosphere, unfortunately. It has to happen naturally. Tynecastle's always had a poor atmosphere outside of the big games because, rightly or wrongly, there's an expectation of the team to win comfortably, so it has to come from the pitch to the stands. And Ross, there's been other people getting in touch as well, saying it doesn't help having away fans in that stand because of the hospitality. So nice and easy. How do we fix all this and make it the dream place for us and the worst place for everybody else to come to?
I think, yeah, it's a tricky one, and it's been talked about for a while, and Matt, that I've been involved in the club and going to federation meetings and speaking to other Hearts fans. A problem we've got at Tynecastle is, remember, we've got a lot of season ticket holders now that have sat in the same seats for many years. And it's a tricky situation asking people that maybe sat in the same seat for years to move to make room for a singing section. Yeah, it's a difficult one, you know. It used to be the Gorgie suite, I think, used to be the family enclosure, and then they moved that. I think when they built the main stand, you've got section N, you've got section G. I'm hearing more noise from section G now than I've done in recent games. You know, so that's, you know, there is positives there. You know, behind the goals in the Gorgie, you've got that section there behind the goals. I think the Gorgie Ultras have been brilliant since they came in, especially at away games. You know, Kilmarnock away, that sellout end was brilliant. They had the place rocking. So, you know, yeah, there's no real straight answer. You know, how they've tried, the clubs, I think, tried many things, and the federation, you know, working with the Gorgie Ultras and you know, trying to encourage more people to get involved. It's a slow burner, I think. I think it'll come good. And again, it's down to the success on the pitch. If players do well, I think, you know, the atmosphere will get there. You know, it's an exciting time at Hearts. You know, I know that people get a bit upset about the atmosphere, but I think they'll get there. We'll get there.
I just don't, and I said this last week, I don't want Hearts to be in a position where we all gather as fans, where we gather at the end of the season, pubs, clubs, online, or whatever, and say, what a chance that we missed. Did we give the team the backing that we could have done? But Mark, as Ross and Alfie are kind of saying, this is a case of try and satisfy some of the people some of the time, but you're never going to satisfy all the people all the time. And as Ross said, when you've got season ticket holders that sit in their own seats, it becomes very difficult, doesn't it, to kind of move everyone around to where they want to be without upsetting other people.
Yeah, I think that's exactly it. You know, being a member of the Disabled Sports Club, I wasn't really savvy to what went on behind the scenes behind a match day. But then once I've sat in meetings upon meetings for the however many years I've been in there, you realize how much of an effort it is. You know, it's 20K people on a Saturday, they ram into the same place, and it's incredibly organized, but also as equally unorganized. Um, so it's one of those ones that I don't think it'll ever have an answer for all, but I think as long as the club seem to be doing something towards that, because I'm with you that I wouldn't categorize it as a problem. And to use the United game as an example, I think everyone's just in a bit of shock as well about where we are and what's going on. And I think it's kind of trying to balance expectations and everything because you do want to get carried away. And I mean, the away support, people can complain what they want with Tynecastle, but the away support's been immaculate. So it's hard to marry it with everything. I do know as well that standing sections have been mooted to the club in several forms by several sports clubs, but it does come down to so much. It's security, logistics, policing, it's everything. You know, it's impossible to kind of navigate that all and make sure everyone's happy.
Alfie, we got a message in from @ebroadwood. We need an atmosphere. The Dundee United game was awful considering our league position and performances so far this season. The Ultras for me are too small in number and we need to bring the away day atmosphere we generate to home games. Bring all those who want to sing together. Now, you're at an age, Alfie, at 14, where you go to the games with your mum, Lee, some games, and it'll soon become the time for you to maybe go with your pals, or go with yourself or your mum or whoever wants to go with her pals. So have you had a thought about where you kind of want to move to? Would you want to kind of join the Gorgie Ultras? Or what would you kind of like to do going forward when the time comes to kind of, because we all, I mean, I graduated from the family closure to the shed, I think when I was 14 or 15, and you're about that age. So what are your plans going forward?
I like where I sit. I've made really
Which
good
is
pals.
where?
I sit in Section E in the wheat field, just up
Okay.
near the commentary box. We get to see all the good faces there. I like it. I mean, I remember my first couple of games back from my little break from the football. I didn't know anybody around us, so basically just stuck to me talking to my mum and my mum talking to me. But over the years of me going, I know the people behind me, people next to me. You know, it's always if I see them in the stands, not even in our seats, we'll stop and talk to them. We see them on away days sometimes, and you make friends through football. And it would almost be hard to move. Almost I'm kind of comfy in my wee seat because I know the people around me, and I feel like I'd be kind of leaving them and hitting the restart button on all my kind of progress that I've made at the football. If you are catching what I'm.
Hmm. I think we're trying to find a solution to whether it's an issue or a problem, Ross, that I don't think there's an answer that's going to satisfy everybody, because the more success Hearts have, the more interest there's going to be. Now, we're never going to get any more than 20,000 inside Tynecastle. Look at Celtic, for example. They kind of have a rogue element with the Green Brigade. They've fallen out with the football club. That then sparks a kind of disagreement and a bad atmosphere there. If you were to roll the dice, Ross, about what maybe could be possible inside Tynecastle, or keep what we have right now, would you roll the dice or would you keep what we have?
Um, I think if I was looking to do something, I would maybe really. I think pre-match. I think work needs to get done. There's this talk. I think it's up at Aberdeen. Are they going to be allowed to sell alcohol before games? That could be a changer in for the pre-match experience, if you know what I mean. You could have the ultras doing something in the plaza, or you could have. There was always talk about that when the main stand got done, about having a stage set up for music. Ex-players, doing interviews. You know, try and create that pre-match buzz that could maybe come into the game during the game. So I think there's definitely things that the club spent some money on the screens. The big screens in the Wheatfield and in the Gorgie stand. Try and just make Tynecastle a better place to be before the game, if you know what I mean, and encourage people. That could encourage the atmosphere. Going during the games as well.
I'm trying to play devil's advocate here, Mark, with something Alfie said, and he will have the opportunity if he wants to maybe set free and move elsewhere. But he says his pals are around him. He's made friends in Section E. And do we not have the situation whereby people have a pre-match routine? They go to a pub or a club before the game. They then wander along to Tynecastle at maybe 2:30 or 2:40, depending where the pub is. They get there maybe 10, 15 minutes before kickoff. How do you change someone's pre-game routine that they've maybe had for years or decades? You've got to have something special inside Tynecastle to be able to do that. Have you not?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's the wider kind of football culture as we have it in Britain in general, and even that's changing with social media being involved and everything. The flatmate that I've currently got with me is a Man United season ticket holder, and we're constantly having chats about um, the increase of tourists and that affecting atmospheres and just them being a diluted sense from the locality of where you're from. Whereas I don't think we have that with Hearts, but in a different way, it causes a different problem because I think so many people are so knowledgeable about Hearts, so knowledgeable about the Scottish game that take again the Dundee United game, for example. You're kind of nervous because it's like, okay, we're first, can we keep this going? So everyone's kind of looking around being, well, I don't know. But in terms of match day routines and everything, I think it's almost impossible. I think everyone has their own superstitions. I wear certain shoes. I can't eat before games. I get too nervous. It's all these sorts of little things that I think is so ingrained within our culture in general that a vast shift is unlikely. But I think you can still do small things that are led by the club. And I mean, for example, I mean, I don't know the background of the GU, but they've done great work, seemingly coming from nowhere. I really remember it kind of 3, 4 years ago. So I think it just, I don't know how the club facilitate a kind of wider change that allows groups to actually start up and build a kind of greater fan culture around it, you know?
Graham Easton took over from Scott Wilson as the voice of Tynecastle a few years ago. Alfie, given that there's people younger than you that go to games and enjoy it, and there's people a lot older than me that go to games and enjoy it, I don't know how you find some semblance of music that's going to satisfy everybody, but you can play the classics. As someone that hasn't experienced a match day at Tynecastle for a while. I don't know what that's like these days. How do you think it is, whether it's the music, whether it's the goal music, everything that's played by Graham and his team as far as that side of the Tynecastle matchday experience is concerned, Alfie?
Graham Easton is known as Mr. Easton to me, actually. He's one of my business teachers. So every time I see him, I mutter the 3 words, levels by Avicii. We've not had it many. We've not had it for ages. But I mean, if you think about Goals at Tynecastle, you think about that one song. That song used to play all the time before we had Big Shankland up top. We have Glad All Over, obviously, for him, but it would usually be Levels by Avicii at Hampden and Levels by Avicii at Tynecastle and everything. He's also the announcer at Hampden as well.
Yes.
So
Yes.
he was, he talks to us about it because there's quite a lot of Hearts fans at my school. So he almost takes suggestions, and some of the songs you can maybe blame on them. But he tries to make everybody happy, but he's trying to find that balance still, because there's always going to be somebody that's complaining about it. And I like some of the music that he plays, but some of the music he plays is questionable. If we're trying to create an atmosphere, some of that kind of dubstep stuff isn't the best for
Hold on. What the heck is dubstep?
the song that we usually walk out to
It's a song, not a style.
No, I mean, dubstep is it's like really fast music, and you can't really take it in. It's like you don't
Oscar, you
really
want to
want
help me
it at
here?
football. Yeah, you don't really want it at the football,
Okay.
because you want some music that, I mean, the Heart song, when we come out, that creates a kind of feeling in everybody. I mean, I've spoken to away fans. I've got friends that are in Block 7 of Hibs and the Green Brigade of Celtic, and they say that Tynecastle is probably its scariest when we walk out the tunnel. So we don't want to kind of take that away with the kind of music that we're playing at the moment, because it isn't exactly the scariest, if that makes sense, Mark.
How do we keep that scary atmosphere for the opposition and the opposition fans going for 90 minutes? Because when the game starts, the music stops. So is the onus on the team to provide for the fans, or the fans to provide for the team?
What you've seen in Hearts in the first kind of 15, 20 minutes this season, we're literally just press, 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 and that gets the crowd really going. So as long as we keep that up, like Tynecastle is at its loudest when Hearts are playing well, funnily enough. But I mean, let's say Braga makes a good tackle and sticks us on the counter attack, we get loud. But if Dundee United are playing park the bus ball, for 80 minutes, then it isn't exactly going to be the loudest in the stadium. I mean, you hear a couple people shouting, but that isn't exactly going to make an atmosphere. So you need kind of more people to join in and kind of drive the team on for them to, because I mean, people can say what they want. The team play better when the fans are loud. I mean, the Derby winner. I mean, we were definitely loud after we scored. Everybody was loud after we scored. But
Yeah, but what about the atmosphere before the goal? I mean, I watched it on
before the goal-
TV, so I watch it on Hearts TV. I get what everyone else gets. How did you feel the noise was prior to that goal? And was it louder the last 10 because Hearts were the only team out the two of them that were trying to push forward? Or what was that atmosphere like prior to the winning goal from Halkett against Hibs?
it was loud. Every time we were kind of winning the ball in their half, everybody was kind of up on their feet, like we'd scored, that kind of noise. And I mean, when Kurjota did that big whipping ball into the box, I've never heard Tynecastle so quiet. It all went dead. And as soon as it hit the net, everybody erupted back up again. And I think that could be one of the best nights at Tynecastle I've had. Maybe Rosenborg second. But I mean, the time and the moment was just perfect. Everything just aligned.
You're just kind of starting on your Heart's journey. We all have different times and places that we've been to, and hopefully there's many more of those. There'll be an expectation among those that are going to games for the first time, maybe this season, that this is how it always is. Just ask people, maybe even older than I am, that went in the 70s and 80s and the bad old days of First Division football and how bad that was. So it depends on your age and your experience. I want to get back to a few more of the comments that have come in. Captain Pog, I honestly think this issue is vastly overstated by many fans. Better music over the speakers is the only thing I can think of, i.e. play Hey Jude or the Heart song, not random pump up music, according to Captain Pog. HM Foxtrot Charlie, big screen VAR reviews and ref microphone when explaining decisions. That would come as a result of a league-wide rather than a Heart saying that they want that. Professor Sock Thief with my favourite suggestion, simply Negronis to make the matchday experience better. Alfie, 4 more years for you, pal, before you get to taste them. Mark, Negronis at the bar when we get the alcohol license. Would that work for you?
Yeah, I think that would work for me. I can't say that alcohol at the football is a catch-all solution for me, as much as I did enjoy one too many pints in Florence. Um, I just think I quite like the concept that Aberdeen, I think it would be Aberdeen that came up with it, of having it pre-match. I don't think we're ready yet as a culture to have that in stands, pitch facing. But yeah, I think honestly an unbelievable question of trying to answer that, and how do you improve? Because I mean, for me, I personally quite like our atmosphere. I like our culture that is very reactive to the game. And it's not like I'm trying to think of worldwide atmospheres that are still brilliant. I mean, look at Germany and the yellow wall, and they've got this constant stream of noise. But I think it's got to be natural, because I don't think anything out with that really suits our game. And I think for those games, because it does come up, I think every season, of someone says, "Oh, it wasn't that great today at Motherwell." I think maybe there is something in that it being overstated, maybe, because you do just have those dab games. You're not going to be 100% high press every time. You're going to have down games. But I think this year, I mean, that was an absolutely brilliant derby atmosphere after the goal. I'm still unsure about how good it was during the game, because I just think everyone was nervous. They're very reactive to the game. I think it always comes back to that. But yeah, I think there's not a lot we can do within the stadium itself to improve that. I think it's got to be outside and trying to bring everyone in and get on board with it and try and get rid of that doubt or that negativity and just, support the team. But that's impossible.
Ross, is it as simple as saying there's a direct correlation between team performance and matchday atmosphere?
Yeah, I think we've had a fantastic start to the season, and to be honest, did anyone really see it coming? And it's been great, and we're on this ride, and we're loving it. And the style of play that we start games in, especially at Tynecastle, you're going to have lulls when the opposition are going to get on the ball. And if we're not going in front or we're not particularly playing that well, or maybe missed a couple of chances, it's only natural that the crowd's going to get on the players' back a bit. But I think patience. You need to be patient. We've had a roller coaster of 10, 12 years with Hearts, and we're in a great place. We should be excited about it. Not just on the pitch, but off the pitch. Tony Bloom coming in, etc. Things are going to improve. I think we can all agree on that. I think on the park and off the park, definitely there's a change. It feels like there's a change in direction the club's going, how the club's run, how the team plays. The players that are coming in. Nobody imagined where we are right now, and it's exciting times. And if that exciting times continue, and we're successful, that'll definitely bring the atmosphere. That'll make Tynecastle will be a great place if we're winning games every other week or every week, and winning, getting to finals and winning trophies. The atmosphere is going to be brilliant. It'll be electric.
Graham Sibley says, just win on the pitch. Don't care about anything else.
Simple, yeah.
That's the bottom line. Rab D, stop the goal-scoring music. Just the fans celebrating. Upbeat music, pre-match, please. Oh, and cash tills as well. Alfie, what's your thoughts on goal-scoring music? Do we need it?
I think in certain times we need it. But the goal versus Hibs, we didn't really need music because Tynecastle was so loud. But let's say a couple seasons ago, I think it was like 6-1 to us versus Ross County end of the season. And we were still having music for like the 5th and 6th goal when nobody was kind of celebrating anymore. And
oh, there's the 5th going in. Oh, yeah, there's the 6th. Oh, gosh.
So we needed the music to kind of fill in that kind of empty space because there was no cheering. The money tells as well. I totally agree with that. Money tells because I'm much more of because I do a paper round and I get paid in cash
instead of you're an old soul, young man. You're an old soul
on my card. So I'd much rather be able to spend my money at the football instead of the Greggs and Gorgie Road, even though they want a steak bake or two.
You not got the Gorgie fish bar, son. You just go for your steak bake.
No, I've got a pre-match routine. Routine here, Mark. So 2 steak bakes.
Greg's for what? Vanilla slice?
No. 2 steak bakes. And if Mum's feeling it, I'll get a Scotch pie for her. So
there you go.
Whatever. There's a Baguette Express next to it as well. Gorgie Road. Can't be it.
Cover your ears for a second because I want to use the word shithousery. From Jason. He says, cut the old firm allocation further. No idea if it'll improve the atmosphere, but it'll be a laugh on social media every time we're due to play them. In all seriousness, I'm all open for a chat. I think it's important that we do that, and it's not a case of airing our grievances. We're all trying to aim for the same thing. I just don't want to be in a position where a few months down the line we say, oh, we could have done a little bit more or much more to help with the atmosphere. Sometimes over and above in a position of necessity is what's required. But ultimately, we react to what we see on the football field. And I don't know, is there one specific solution? I don't know. But as far as having fans in the ground a little bit earlier, Mark and Ross, you can take this one first. if we had, and there's been plenty of people getting in touch, talking about some sort of fan zone, Mark Compton says before games, a bar area or bands playing. Is that something, Ross, that you think your members of the Heart of Midlothian Disabled Supporters Club would maybe go to the game an hour earlier to be able to do that? Or what do you think about that?
I think there would need to be a lot of work needed done for it to be successful. You know, does anyone really want to stand outside Tynecastle in Tynecastle an hour, 2 hours before kick-off with a plastic tumbler at, cold lager in this weather at this time of year? So you would need to have the sort of heaters there. You would need to have things in place to make it an enjoyable experience. You wouldn't want it getting wet or getting blown about. It would need to be cozy and comfortable for people to go. It would need to be accessible for everyone to go as well. It's you also have to think, the club is it could be a good money earner for the club that goes direct back into the club and into the first team. If you think about all the money they can make off the back of it. So I'm a firm believer that we should really look to do it in the summer months. Pre-season games, lots of stuff with kids, face painting, music on a stage. Get the Gorgie Ultras involved, invite people along to have have fun with the Gorgie Ultras and make a kind of family fun day. In the warmer months, colder months, maybe aim for the adults. But you need to have the things in place to make it comfortable and right for people to go there and enjoy themselves.
Mark, I remember late 90s, early 2000s, probably 25 years ago, I used to write for the Jambo, and every month I would sit down with the Hearts owner at the time, the chief executive, Chris Robinson. We'd kind of do monthly notes. This is something we were discussing back then. Are we going to fast forward 25 more years to 2050 and talk about what we can do to improve the atmosphere at Tynecastle? Is this just a cyclical thing that gets discussed from time to time, but ultimately nothing ever really ends up getting done about it?
I think,
Well, I
yeah,
think
25, 25 years is pretty much how old I am now, 27 now. But but yeah, I mean, stuff like fan zones and everything, I think it just doesn't feel right to me. I don't know what the answer is, and I think there is a cyclical nature to it because I seem to see a thread on Kickback pop up every season where there's something like this of atmosphere wasn't quite good enough today. So yeah, I think that expectation of I quite like the idea of setting up for preseason and having something like that as kind of like a fan day, and then maybe something in the winter months. I quite like that idea, but I think if the atmosphere was great all the time, you think back to your own special memories, Alfie mentioning the Rosenborg game there, me being at 5-1 or within Florence, and those atmospheres wouldn't be as special if it was just always constantly like that. You're gonna have bad atmospheres. You're gonna have bad games. Um, so I think that it will always remain. If I'm to be so pessimistic on a Monday evening.
Hmm. One final email that we've received, podcast at scarvesaroundthefunnel.co.uk from Rory Cunningham. Hi guys, first thanks for your amazing work this season. Great to hear all the specials that we've had with the former players and managers, but equally as good to have Laurie back on the last episode. It was indeed. He says, does Rory, I just wanted to raise a point regarding the atmosphere that was touched on in your most recent conversations. I also realise that given Laurie's matchday commitments, this may not be addressed on air, but the stadium music and pre-match playlists really need looked at to help get the atmosphere going immediately before the game. Many times this season and last, the Hearts song has been cut short or not played at the right place. Hey Jude to do the twirlies gone, and far too often, and we're standing listening to some Euro mix that the Ultras sing. I'm not saying that this is the entire problem, but it's definitely something that needs looked at. Me and my mates have often been in Tynecastle raring to go, but the in-stadium stuff hasn't quite hit the mark. Two tribes go to war, and flames seem a far cry from what we're actually getting. This is Tynecastle. Let's make some noise. Just the humble opinion of a seasoned entertainer. Thanks for the hard work, says Rory. Roscoe, I want to get the thoughts of each of you briefly before we wrap things up. What's your take on Rory's take on events at Tynecastle preview?
Yeah, I agree with that a bit. I think you need to chop and change it. It could be weather dependent as well. If it's a cold, wet, miserable night, you need to get the music a bit more jazzed up. If it's a bit more, just yeah, you're never going to please everyone as well. You got people that are younger and older, and as long as the music gets the team winning, that's the main thing for me. I want to see the team winning. The music before the game, getting everybody going for it. I'm sure that all that work and hard work that goes on in the background, will come to fruition with if the team's winning. They're carrying on the form that they've been doing this season.
Alfie, is Rory's email fair?
I think it's fair. I remember at Hampden, my first trip to Hampden was the 2-1 versus Hibs.
Mm-hmm.
Well, hey, when we walked out, it was loud. But then Sims scored that thunderbolt. Still don't know how he scored it. But Hey Jude played, and the whole stand, because we sold the whole stand. The whole stand was doing the twirly, and it was a sight to behold. And even when Tynecastle do it, very rarely now, I would much rather see it instead of the music that the ultras want played. It's a sight to behold. It's really cool to kind of see everybody get together and control, because most people have a scarf. I mean, some people choose not to, some people choose to, but people that choose to have a scarf like to show that they have a scarf so they can do the twirling. You can see all the different colours with the half and half scarves. I remember getting a half and half scarf when Fiorentina came to Tynecastle. We won't talk about the score of that game, but
No, it didn't happen.
no, it didn't happen. But the scarf holds memories around it. I mean, I don't really buy programs anymore because they cost an arm and a leg, but I used to buy programs quite a lot. I mean, I've got programs that have got dates not even connected to the game. I mean, I've got one from the game that the Queen died, and that's got a note on it saying, yep, the Queen died the day that game happened. And I've got loads of games because the programs are quite cool they get an insight on the things they probably might not see. Because I mean, they've got the sponsors. Everybody skips past the sponsors though, so you get the good stuff. Interviews with the manager that won't be put on Twitter or Facebook or anything like that, and it'll give you some information that'll just kind of open your eyes more to the club. You can see that the work going on behind the scenes is showed a little bit more in the program, so you get kind of more for your money. I think the program prices are extortionate at the moment. No, I mean, anybody listening, get that fixed, you'll get more sales. But I think we're doing everything right. I mean, I think the music does need a little bit of changing. I mean, down at Mark J, your friend is a Man United season ticket holder. Yeah, they play, if I'm right, This Is the One by the Stone Roses, and that really gets kind of everybody up when they're walking out the tunnel. And I think music from that kind of era where, I mean, I'm going to call it era, I listen to music from there as well, but quite a lot of the music that you guys would listen to, maybe still listen to. I think there's more people your age at the football. I mean, there's people my age that will listen to that kind of music, but there's people your age at the football which might appreciate more of that music instead of the more younger kind of. I also quite like the idea of how they ask the players playlist that they play before the game. But there's some music that I just do not see any of the players choosing. I think they're sneaking in music that isn't exactly true. Don't think Swallow's listening to that, but
Just
No.
consider yourself fortunate that you didn't go to games back in the 80s and have to listen to James Last and his orchestra on cassette tape because that's what your mother and father wanted to listen to. Anyway, I digress. The way to resolve this should be, well, these should be the two songs that we play when Hearts come out the tunnel at Tynecastle. Side A is the Colin Chisholm remix of Duel by Propaganda, featuring the 1986 Hearts first team squad. And the B-side is Carnival de Paris, sung by Hector Nicol, featuring the Marshall Chunky Chicken Megastars. You're listening to Scarves Around the Funnel, sponsored by Forrest Hepburn and McDonald Signs, who've been offering creative sign and print solutions since the 1950s. Okay, before we wrap up, I've got some homework for you this week. And normally it's here's a question or an idea, get in touch and see what you think. Your homework this week is simple. If you are a member of the Foundation of Hearts, please vote. That's your homework. It's the 2025 board elections that are coming forward. The results will be announced at the AGM on the 4th of December. There are 6 candidates. You can read their election addresses at foundationofhearts.org. Daniel Brunton, Diane Scougal, Dougie Sharlaw, Ewan Tripp, Graham Robertson, and Raymond Wales. So for Daniel, for Diane, for Dougie, for Ewan, for Graham, and for Raymond, that's your homework this week. Just take a couple of minutes out of your day. Have a look at foundationofhearts.org and read the election addresses of the 6 candidates. You can vote for up to 2 of those to join the new board of the Foundation of Hearts that will have a couple of new faces, and you can decide or help decide whether or not it's Daniel, Diane, Dougie, Ewan, Graham, or Raymond. So that is your homework. Let's get a final thought from my 3 guests this week. Just a reminder that Scott McIntosh will join me later in the week. We'll have an in-depth preview of the Aberdeen game. It's on Sunday at 3 o'clock. So what do we reckon? Let's go top to bottom as far as our Zoom screen is concerned. Mark Jackson, you can begin. How optimistic are you ahead of this game this weekend? And what do you think the score and your prediction is for this one?
I'd say I'm fairly optimistic as you can be for away to Pataudry. Unsure of how bad the record is, but I know it's bad. I just think it's very similar in that way to before the Ibrox game this season of can you go and change that record? Any win will do. With changes with Halkett dropping out because of suspension, I'm unsure of dealing with that defensively. But I think for me, I'd sneak a 1-0 win. Not sure who the score is going to be, but just any win, sneak a 1-0 win.
I don't care who the scorer is if Hearts win by 1-0. Ross, what do you think about this weekend?
Yeah, I'm excited and looking forward to it on Sunday. I think we'll start the game well. I think we'll score first. If you score first, we'll go on to win that game. I'm going to go for 2-0. I'm pretty excited and positive about it. I'm looking for a 2-0 win on Sunday. I think we're
Trying
going
to do my maths.
change things about up there.
I hope so. Trying to do my maths, Alfie. I think you were 6 years old when Hearts last won up there. Abiola Dowda scoring in May 2016. I'm fed up of mentioning his name every time we play Aberdeen at Pataudry, and their record at Tynecastle isn't great either. It's a fixture that the home side is pretty much dominated over nearly a decade of this fixture. So what do you reckon for Sunday at Pataudry for Hearts, Alfie?
I think 1-0. I think the goal scorer is, don't know how to pronounce his name, so I just call him Scrabble because he'd get a really high score in Scrabble and Kizaridis or something like that. Hopefully better than the last time we were up at Pataudry, or I was up at Pataudry, because that was the 93rd minute penalty that we don't talk about anymore. So I mean, he's not at the club; he's out of the memories of everybody. So clean slate. This is the new Hearts at Pataudry, and I'm hoping for a win. But I mean, optimistic as I can be.
Good lad. Well, hey, you've done yourself proud. At the age of 14, Thank you so much for joining us, and hopefully in many years to come you can look back at this and talk about the season that you came on Scarves around the funnel, the season that Hearts won the league, and you go on to strength to strength. So, Alfie, thank you for joining us today. Loved having your company.
Thank you for having me, Mark, and other Mark and Ross. Thank you for making me feel welcome. I wasn't, I mean, I was nervous, but when my mum told me that I could just open a Zoom call and talk to people about Hearts
Yeah.
for an hour-ish, I wasn't that nervous, because a lot of people tell me to shush when I'm talking about Hearts. So, and people don't actually listen. It's quite good to have. So, thank you everybody for having me, and yeah, hopefully look back on this in a couple of years and go, yep, this is the season that Hearts won the league. I was on Scarves around the funnel. Thank you.
Good lad. And for Ross and Mark, just end with some details. If anybody wants to get in touch, join your supporters club, or just wants a little bit more information, I'll give you the last word, Roscoe, because having been with you on many stags and joined the Pennycook Hearts Supporters Club and been on the bus, I don't know how long it will be when you stop talking. So I'll let Mark start with any details that you wish to pass on about the Heart of Midlothian Disabled Supporters Club.
Yeah, so Heart of Midlothian Disabled Sports Club is basically, we're here for any one of our members, and even outside membership is just to get in contact with us via our email, which is hdsc1874@gmail.com. And then we can work from there. We do also have a website. I cannot remember the URL of that right now, to be honest with you, but I'm sure if you search Google, you can get us there as well. We've also got that Facebook page, which I believe is a private group. So you'll need to be a member before. I believe Ross can give you some more details about that membership as well.
Thank you, Mark. And Roscoe, don't go on for too long, because I still have a photo of you dressed up as Banana Man in whatever the hell we were way back when on
Prague, I think.
yes, Prague on a stag. So thank you for joining us, Ross,
Thanks, sir.
and thank you for the work that you do for the Disabled Supporters Club that you're part of. You're someone that never asks for anything in return for all the kind of voluntary stuff that you do. So on behalf of everybody in the Supporters Club and the football club as well, thank you for what you do on behalf of everybody you represent.
Thanks, Mark. Thank you for inviting me along this evening. It's been brilliant. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. Thanks to the guys as well. They're making it a good experience. Yeah, it's been lovely, Mark. Thank you very much.
Indeed, we will speak to you again later this week and preview the Aberdeen game in full. My thanks to Mark Jackson, to Ross Wilson, and to Alfie Drake. And we'll speak to you again soon. Bye for now.